Daniel earns $82,000 a year. He has been at the same company for 7 years. He is the person they promote. He shows up early, delivers results, and does everything his employer asks of him. Last year, he got a raise, the third one in 5 years. His parents are proud. His friends consider him successful. And at the end of every month, Daniel feels like he is falling behind. Not dramatically, not in a crisis, just quietly, persistently, month after month. The feeling that no matter how hard he works, the finish line never gets any closer. Daniel thinks this is his fault. It isn't. That feeling isn't a personal failure, it's a feature. Because for most middle-class households, earning more just means higher taxes, higher fixed costs, and less flexibility. The system doesn't stop you from working hard. It just makes sure the rewards never compound. If you've been doing everything right and still feel stuck, this video is going to make you uncomfortable. And then it's going to make everything make sense. This isn't a conspiracy. It's something more subtle and more dangerous. It's architecture, a system shaped by incentives that reward certain behaviors and quietly punish others. Daniel didn't make a mistake. Daniel walked into a system. Here are the 5 mechanisms that built it. Mechanism 1. You were never taught how money actually works. This isn't a story about bad decisions. It's a story about decisions made without the information needed to make better ones. The school system teaches mathematics, literacy, history, and science. What it almost never teaches is how money actually works, how compound interest builds wealth over decades, how the difference between an asset and a liability determines financial freedom, how starting to invest at 22 versus 32 can mean a difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars by retirement. Research consistently shows the overwhelming majority of adults say their education left them unprepared for handling money in the real world. Most say they would be further ahead financially today with better early financial education. Wealthy families teach their children to view money as a tool for growth from an early age, exposing them to investment principles, tax strategy, and business ownership long before they enter the workforce. The middle class receives almost none of that education. They enter the financial system without a map. The wealthy enter it having been given directions for years. Daniel was never taught the difference between an asset and a liability. He was taught to work hard and save what was left over. That advice wasn't wrong. It was just incomplete in ways that compound over decades. Mechanism 2. You are taxed for working, they are not. This is the most consequential and least discussed financial fact in most people's lives. When you earn a salary, the government taxes that income at rates between 10 and 37%. That is how most middle-class people make money, through labor, through showing up and receiving a paycheck. But the tax code does not treat all income equally. Wealthy people primarily make money through assets, stocks, property, businesses that grow in value over time. When those assets are sold, the gains are taxed at a maximum of 20%. A middle-class professional paying 24% in federal income tax and a wealthy investor earning the same amount through stocks paying 15%. Same dollar amount, completely different tax bill, simply because of how the money was made. The middle class sells time, the wealthy sell assets, and the system charges significantly more for time. This is not a loophole. It is not an oversight. It is a design choice embedded in the tax code for decades that benefits one side of the wealth divide considerably more than the other. Daniel's raise pushed him into a higher tax bracket. The additional income looked good on paper. After taxes, it looked considerably smaller. Mechanism 3. Your raise gets absorbed before you can use it. Think about the last time you got a raise. Maybe your rent went up shortly after. Your car insurance renewal came in higher. Childcare costs crept upward. Your phone plan quietly upgraded. None of these felt like extravagance. Each one felt like a reasonable response to earning a little more. But together, they consumed the raise entirely and left your financial position unchanged. That was Daniel's raise. His landlord increased the rent by $150 a month. His car insurance came in 12% higher. He upgraded his phone plan because the old one was getting slow. Together, they absorbed the entire raise within 90 days. By month 4, his monthly surplus was smaller than before the promotion. This is lifestyle inflation, and it is not purely a personal failing. It is structurally enforced at every income level. Every raise you receive has already been anticipated by the cost structure around you, the housing market prices in your salary growth. The car finance industry builds payment plans around your income bracket. Research shows wage growth for middle-income households runs at roughly half the rate of higher-income households. And even that slower growth rarely arrives intact. Your raise arrives. The system is already waiting to absorb it. Mechanism 4. Debt is your product, equity is theirs. The financial system sells the middle-class debt. It sells the wealthy equity. A mortgage is debt. A car loan is debt. A student loan is debt. A credit card balance is debt. These are the primary financial products marketed to middle-class households. And every single one transfers money from the borrower to the lender every month with interest for years or decades. None of this means you made bad choices. It means you were offered the wrong products. None of this requires outrage to understand. It only requires math. Total household debt has reached a record high according to Federal Reserve data, with mortgage balances alone accounting for the majority. The average credit card interest rate now sits above 21% annually, meaning debt doesn't just drain money, it compounds against the person carrying it at a rate most investments cannot outpace. Meanwhile, the top 10% of American households hold approximately 93% of all stock market wealth. When the market rises, they get richer in their sleep. The middle class services the debt that funds the same system, and every month of interest payments is a transfer, running quietly in one direction. Daniel has a mortgage, a car loan, and a credit card balance he carries most months. He is not irresponsible. He is the target market. The financial system was not structurally built to help Daniel accumulate wealth. It was structurally built to generate returns from Daniel's participation in it. Mechanism 5. Your wealth is stored in the wrong asset. The middle class was guided into property as its primary wealth vehicle. Get a job, buy a house as soon as you can, pay into your pension. That advice, given in good faith for generations, steered the majority of middle-class wealth into a slow, compounding, illiquid asset that costs money every month to maintain. The wealthy hold the majority of their net worth in assets that compound continuously. The wealthiest Americans own the overwhelming majority of corporate equities and mutual fund shares. The middle class owns homes. And the difference between those two asset types, compounding versus appreciating, income generating versus cost incurring, produces a gap that widens every single year. Consider one specific comparison. The average home appreciates at roughly 3 to 5% per year. The S&P 500 has averaged closer to 10% annually over long periods. That difference, applied to the same initial investment over 30 years, does not produce a marginal gap. It produces a transformational one. Daniel bought his home 6 years ago. He is proud of it, and he should be. But his home is not generating income. It is appreciating slowly while costing him money every month. Meanwhile, the down payment he put into that home has been sitting in his walls. Individually, each of these mechanisms feels manageable. Together, they compound. The median American worker between the ages of 21 and 64 has just $955 saved for retirement. Not $955,000, $955. That is not a savings problem. That is the predictable outcome of 5 mechanisms working together over decades, each one quietly doing exactly what it was built to incentivize. So what does this mean for Daniel and for you? Daniel is not behind because he worked too little or spent too carelessly. He is behind because he has been operating inside a financial architecture that was not built to help him escape it. But here is what no architecture can control. It cannot control whether you understand how it works. And the moment you do, the knowledge gap, the tax asymmetry, the lifestyle inflation machine, the debt dependency, the wrong asset class, you can begin making decisions that work differently inside it. Invest in assets, not just property. Treat every raise as an investment decision before it becomes a lifestyle decision. Reduce the debt that compounds against you before expanding the lifestyle around you. Daniel's situation is not permanent. It is the result of defaults he never chose and rules he was never shown. Now he has seen them. The middle class is designed to stay middle class, but design can be understood. And here is the thing nobody tells you. The wealthiest people in the world are not operating under the same rules as you. They never were. They are simply playing a different game, one that nobody told you existed. Now you know it exists. Once you see the game, you stop playing it the wrong way.